Hello there, people of the internet. My name is Odhiambo, and this is Political Headache. In the studio is Joakim Simiyu. Joakim Simiyu, I will need to be introducing you properly. Kuna fununu, you know, there are things, now that you're no longer, you are not the president. I thought I would be introducing you as the president of Bunge la Mwananchi.
For now, it's people's president.
People's president, history Raila Tanayo.
No, you cannot read.
You know you talk like Raila?
Yes.
You look like Raila? you know? Anyway, I also have Odhiambo Otieno, a gentleman that now people of the internet know very well. We are going to be talking about tribalism. And Odhiambo is disagreeing vehemently with Joakim about the issue of tribalism. But I want to start this conversation by asking Odhiambo what he thinks about tribalism in this country. Because even when we are having Face the Nation, he mentioned it. You remember?
Yes.
He mentioned it, and he said that politics is absolutism. You remember? Odhiambo, what do you think about
devoid of morals?
Devoid of morals.
Yes, I remember that point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tribalism is an identity which we are assigned at birth. Nobody chooses to be in particular tribes. It is the taking advantage of these identities that is wrong. But being in these identities has nothing wrong with them at all. That's what I was saying from when we started speaking with Joakim. I feel like branding tribalism as an issue is a problem for me. It doesn't sit well with me in terms of how I process issues. But the abuse of tribalism is what is then wrong for the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I sort of disagree with you because I'm just thinking the reason why, for example, Ruto knows that he has at least 4 million votes in the pocket is that those votes are Kalenjin votes. And the reason why Ruto brought Raila Odinga to the table and speak with him was because of the constituency that Raila Odinga is bringing to the table. Right now, the agitation of the Wamunyoro guy, that is the former deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, the reason why he thinks he's powerful is because of the constituency that he has, and that's a tribal constituency. And and Mudavadi is in government, and Musalia Mudavadi is government, and his other friend, what is his name? Muetangula. It's in government because of the constituency, and that this constituency is basically the people that call you by their name.
The people you share an ancestry with.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that you are diminishing the importance of tribalism. But I want you to now say what.
According to what Odhiambo says, it doesn't sit well with how he processes things. So it's a very individual perspective. But tribalism is not actually a problem per se, but it's usually amplified, especially close to election time, to make tribalism, to put people in the cocoons of the tribes, that the politicians make the word tribe very big, and they want to classify you as a tribe, a particular tribe, and you must behave like everyone in that tribe. They'll want to make you know you are a Luo, and you have to behave like one. You are not like this one. This one is a Kikuyu. They behave different. No, don't behave like that. You are a Luya. Behave this way. You see, that demarcation and creating imaginary lines among the Kenyan people is what is usually happens around election time. Because it is according to tribal arithmetics that political leaders survive and maintain their power. And you come to the table saying that behind me is 3 million votes coming from the tribe that I come from. The other person comes on the table and says, this is a number of votes coming from this particular tribe. But on a normal life basis, tribe does not have a problem. We are a combination of so many tribes in this podcast, and we do not have that problem. You don't even care who the tribe of your neighbor is. When you go to hospital, you don't want to know the surgeon. Where does he come from? You only cares about his qualification. But around election time, you want to really know where does this person come from. And once you know where they come from, every other thing doesn't matter. You forget about their credentials, you forget about their education level, how their temperament. And governments, especially the government that we have, is very good at drawing those lines.
Because that is my biggest problem, Mr. Joakim. Because I've had a lot of people saying that there is a certain narrative that is being that is being driven for when it comes, for example, and I think if we were to touch on the exact issue, we were during the Gen Z, uprising of 2024. There was nothing very tribal about it. When we had the resurgence of Gen Z uprising in 2025, I started seeing that narrative being driven. And at the very height of the Gen Z movement in July, there was a lot of these people talking on social media and saying that the government wants to make it look like the problem that we are having in this country is actually a group of people, especially from Mount Kenya, that were invading town and rioting and destroying businesses. And what I kept wondering is that I'm not sure whether the people of the mountain that own most of the businesses in town would want to destroy the businesses in town. And so, do you believe that the government was trying to portray the Kikuyu community to be the troublemakers? Because we have seen that with the Luos before. So I want you to, because I think you are skirting around the issue. You're skirting around the issue. So I wanted to ask you, do you think that this government? Yes.
So it's true that the tribal card is being pushed. The initial agenda was to incite other tribes against Kikuyus.
Yes. To what end?
President Ruto's survival in this term was to be premised on he's a good person, but he's just being hated by one tribe.
Okay.
The tribe that loves themselves so much that if it's not one of their own in power, they have a problem with it. So that was the card that was to be pushed, that every other part of the country to feel comfortable with Ruto, but to make it look like it's a Kikuyu issue to say Ruto is a bad person.
Okay.
But from where I sit, that card fell flat on their face.
Okay.
And they are now coming up with other cards. But the initial agenda was to bring the wedge between the Kikuyu community and other Kenyans. It is not going to be the first time.
Okay, so I want to go back to Odhiambo. Odhiambo, there is something that you said in one of the Political Headache podcast. What did you say? That when I ask you the question that Kikuyus are not in government, you quickly responded and say, but they are. So when Joakim is saying that the Kikuyus they wanted to portray the Kikuyus to look like if they are not in government, then that government should not survive and that government cannot rule. And you came out and counted several people that were in government that are from the Kikuyu community. So then when you hear what Joakim is saying and the narrative that is going online, what do you think that they mean the presidency, or they just mean that Kikuyus are not in power?
You see, politics in Kenya is very lazy most of the time, because most politicians in Kenya do not afford research so that they can find out what are the issues that are affecting Kenyans. So Kenyan politics is not issue-based until I think recently, when now the Gen Zs came up and people started discussing the actual issues. So the lazy politicians, who are always called the legacy politicians, are coming around to concoct a narrative that Kikuyus are against this regime. It's a narrative which is very wrong. And interestingly, even the Kikuyus who are in the regime are not talking about them being in the regime, because they're agreeing with that lazy thinking of legacy politicians that they are not in government.
What's a legacy politician?
Legacy politicians are these politicians who are in politics for their own legacy and not for the progress and the prosperity of the people. Okay? So they want themselves to be glorified above the rest.
Self-aggrandizement.
Yeah, exactly. So these legacy politicians, who 7 of them are serving currently as ministers in Ruto's government, are mute. They're mute. They're not talking about their processes. They're not talking about the policies they bring to government. They're not going down to their people to discuss, except Kabogo, the bald man, is the only guy who is at least appearing somewhere. Because the rest of them have sunk in that falsified narrative that Kikuyus are not in government. When this story came about, some people in government approached me to try and help them how to drive a narrative against the Gen Zs. And one of the thinkings that they were placing before me was that they needed to brand this to be a Kikuyu war. And I told them, this is not a Kikuyu war. This is not, if you want to do politics with me, we will do something that is real. This is not a Kikuyu war. In any case, there are so many Kikuyus who are in support of President Ruto. Why? Kikuyus, most of them, are in big tender business. Now, the biggest trading partner for any organization in any country is the government. Because government does not have a place where it takes goods from. The government collects taxes throughout. So it has the biggest revenue base. If you want to save your money in the best way, the government is the one to save your money with in terms of treasury bills and bonds. So these Kikuyus that are being branded at that moment to be against the government was a very lazy approach of the spin doctors in Ruto's regime. And yes, they successfully went with it by saying that Kikuyus are the ones who are against Ruto. And you saw the whole country, including Luyas like Joakim, including Luos like yourself, were saying, I am a Kikuyu.
Yes,
Because you cannot turn issues into tribal questions. The issues that people are raising are not tribal issues. We are raising issues which are meant to be solved by the government. And so it's a very lazy thinking, basically. And that should have stopped, and it should stop. That's what I'm saying. Tribalism, as presented to us by politicians, is a very lazy strategy of branding themselves and branding their opponents. If you find a politician who is real, who wants to face real issues in the generation we are in, and in the new thinking age we are in, he or she is going to face issues as they are. Because Jagero, and Joakim knows this very well, that for you to truly rally people for a long time, you rally them around issues and not around identity.
But then, so then, why do you think that the government or politicians do not want to rally around issues, but instead they want to rally around?
Because ignorance is bliss.
It becomes very heavy when it's about issues.
Yeah.
Because when it becomes about issues, it now demands merit in offices.
Yes.
That for this issue to be solved, we need somebody with the capacity to solve this issue. And because majority of the occupiers of political offices have not that capacity, then they have to come up with something they can control. And the only thing they can use to control is tribe. And tell you that now it is your time as this particular community to eat, because this particular community has been eating. So even if as they make noise, just eat. And the people you are telling that they are eating, there is nothing they are eating.
Can I have a point of view? At the height of what we call nationalism politics, let's say 1950s to 60s, something was happening in Kenya. And if you look at the caliber of politicians around that time, most of them had no tribal base. Well, of course, they were affiliated with a particular tribe, but they had an imagination of a Kenya or of a Kenyan project. Now, something happens when people do nationalism because they look at the greater good of a country. The greater good of a country does not mean that now you throw away the tribe. You understand? And then for a long time, this created two things that are one of which was borrowed from the colonialism. Because these people came and mapped the country. And at some point when they realized that the African man is now reasoning in terms of nationalism, they brought in the Kad tribe. So that's why you could see that most Luos used to work in offices. Kambas used to work as messengers. Messengers were a very critical part of administrative duties of the colonial government.
How so?
Because they were loyal. They were deemed to be loyal.
And they would carry secrets.
Yes. The political stereotyping brought in what we call clientelism. You needed to have a client at a certain strategic place, let's say in a government or a finance ministry or an agency, so that they can do a bidding for you. So clientelism brought in issue of loyalty. And then the idea that if I am of a particular tribe and one of our men is in government, then I am by proximity in government. So the Gen Z movement is what actually scratched that surface to the very bitter level, and it actually challenged this model of thinking and tribe and politics that most politicians have always operated on. That is why they are fighting it so hard, because the game card that they have been using all these years is finally under contest.
Thank you very much. I think he's spoken to what I was having in mind. That the approach to tribalism is not a new phenomenon. It actually was introduced on us by the Mzungu, the way he's saying. So they map the country and identify that these people from this region behave this way, this one behave this way, this one behave this way. And how do you make them think and have a feeling that they are part of the governance system? You pick the most popular and visible person from that area and say, hey, now that we have Masinde Muliro in government, the whole Luya community is in government. The other side, we have Odinga. Luos are in government. We have Gigi Kariuki. Now Kikuyus are in government. We have Ronald Ngala. The Coast community is in government. And that arrangement is the same formula being pushed today. That when our tribal chieftain is appointed to office, the whole tribe has to clap that now we are in government by proximity, as he's saying. And when you interfere with that model, you interfere with the survival of the politicians of the day, because they are still operating on the same premise. And the reason why there are so much concerted efforts to make tribe the most popular point of view, that these particular people will not vote because one of them is not on the forefront, is to make you not to see what the real issues are. And a tribe that has suffered a lot in this kind of arrangement, I think we have two tribes who feature prominently on the political scene in this country. Those are Luos and Kikuyus. When you look at the start for agitation for independence, it was started by individuals from these two communities. In 1924, we had Harry Thuku. Just 4 years after Kenya became officially a British colony. 4 years later, Harry Thuku comes up with the Kikuyu People's Association. He was working together with a Luo priest called Ezekiel Apindi. That was in 1930. These people had no animosity between themselves. They were working for the greater good of everyone. That we have had white people who have come here. They are dominating us. They are using our land. They have taken away our economic liberty. We must therefore fight for us to redeem our freedom. There was no tribal calculations. We've come until up to until 1960, when now Kenya becomes a sovereign state. And the Mzungu, because he wants to divide and rule, he has to map the country and make people identify themselves in cocoons. And you also remember the problem started when there was an insurgence of the Mau Mau. Because Mau Mau started by soldiers who had fought for Mzungu in Burma. When they came back, they had a new revelation. Before they went to Burma, they thought a Mzungu is a very special person who does not die.
He's unbeatable.
Yes, this person has a stick that spits fire.
Yeah.
That's a gun. He does not have a color like us. His eyes are blue. This guy is like a god. But when they were taken to war in Burma, the African soldiers saw Mzungus dying just like them. They realized, they just have blood like us. So we can actually fight them when we go back. So when they came back, the soldiers, even who they are the same people who started this meat market called Burma. Because they had nothing else to do, they knew how to slaughter, so they decided to sell meat. At that time, the Mau Mau was largely Mount Kenya because Wazungus were occupying mostly Mount Kenya because of the climate and the fertility of the soil. So most of the people who were against Kikuyus were from Mount Kenya. And because Muzungu had already started working with chieftains, and after the insurgents of the Mau Mau, we had old guards. And an old guard for Muzungu called Chief Warihuyu told Mau Maus that they can have a conversation and mediate between Muzungu and the Mau Mau. So on his way to where the Mau Maus were, the Mau Mau had lied to him that we can actually talk about this and solve this problem. They killed Chief Warihuyu. These people were largely Kikuyus. Warihuyu was a Kikuyu. After the chief was killed, at that time, remember, he had a Mercedes. He had been given by the Muzungu. That is 1930s and 40s. The Muzungu profiled the Mount Kenya people as the problem in this particular colony. And we had choppers and pickups fitted with horn speakers going around and saying, the most dangerous person, ukimuona, report to the nearest police, is a Mugikuyu, a Mwembu, and a Meru. In 1950, for you to suppress them further, so that you make them not to fight for independence, you've taken away their land, they are working for free, they are in detention camps, you make them, for the small money they earn from working for Mzungu, you introduce a tax for them. It was called a special tax for Embu, Kikuyu, and Meru, when the rest of the country was not paying anything. So when I see the government of the day profiling Kikuyus, it is not a new phenomenon. It started a long time ago, where they want to make every other person to think that there is no problem. The problem is this one. The way the colonialists wanted to be seen like, it is not colonialism that is bad. What is bad is Mau Mau fighting us.
And then the Kikuyu started profiling Luos.
At that time, I want to come to that because I want to...
Very good, very good.
Yes.
We give him time.
Yes. I want to come to that.
Yeah.
But
because...
maybe just before he goes there,
okay.
There's something that I want to chime in on.
Yeah.
When you talk about whatever he's saying, it does not...
Remind me of where you've stopped from, because we are picking from there.
He's going to Kikuyu blaming Luos.
No. He's not going there. He's coming there. So there is something he wants to say first, and then he comes there.
Okay.
Yes.
So, when you talk about this issue of blame game, it does not even begin from even the whites per se. It begins from the Bible.
Okay. The guy has taken it completely far off.
Yeah, because the whites were also coming here in a particular manner. And now let's go back to how they were coming here. Okay? Because when they first came, I don't know if you can access that letter by King Leopold to the missionaries.
In Congo.
Yeah, in Congo.
Yes.
And by an extension...
Letter to?
Letter by
King Leopold's letter
to the missionaries in Congo.
Yes.
Jagger, I want you to find that letter, and once I finish making this point, read it out before Joakim speaks.
Okay.
Kindly. That's my request.
Okay.
Scapegoatism. Scapegoatism is a concept that Mzungus learned from the Bible, where we find where the mistake actually is. Instead of taking responsibility for the mistake or for our irresponsibility, we push it on somebody else and then send this somebody else into the wilderness.
Yeah.
Initially, in the Bible, in the Old Testament, scapegoatism was what was used. Remember the sacrifice of animals, etc. When Cain and Abel, they're offering plants and animals as sacrifices. These sacrifices were meant basically to carry away the sins of the people. Okay?
Yes.
And it's a strategy in politics that is used to date. So when Mzungus were coming with that letter that they were sent by King Leopold, that is quite late. But even as initially, you remember that Mzungus did not come to Africa to come and extort our minerals openly. They came with Bibles, and they were preaching the good news, and they were preaching of a new God and they were telling Africans how their God was actually bad. And then after they had just settled, they used religion to put order, first of all, before now the independent contractors came as administrators. So religion was the first point of entrance into colonialism or into Africa.
It was a mental disarmament.
Yes, it was a mental disarmament, because nobody will imagine somebody who has brought a new God to be a wrong person.
No, they have told you that you need to forgive.
Yes, you need to forgive, first of all.
However
bad it is. However gory a genocide looks, you have to forgive.
Forgive.
Okay? So this sickness, this mental sickness, came with these white men, and once they realized that for their administration to stand, they had to divide. Because they knew a house that is divided cannot stand. From the story of the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
The new house that is divided cannot stand. So they were using the Bible playbook. That's why for me I always say the Bible for me is a playbook that colonialists use to structure Africa in a particular way. And even if you look at it, Jagero and Joakim, carefully, you'll find countries which are extremely religious are also extremely poor.
Just on that point.
Can I read?
Yeah.
A long letter?
No, it's a very short one. It's a very short letter.
It is a long letter. It is a very short one.
Yes.
Reverend fathers and dear compatriots.
Yes.
Okay? The task that is given to fulfill is very delicate and requires much tact. You will go certainly to evangelize, but your evangelization must inspire above all Belgium interest. Your principal objective in our mission in the Congo is never to teach the savages to know God.
The savages are Africans.
That is interesting. This they know already. They speak and submit to a Mungu, one Nzambi, one Nzakomba, and what else I don't know. They know that to kill, to sleep with someone else's wife, to lie and to insult is bad. Okay? However, have courage to admit it. You are not going to teach them what they know already. Your essential role is to facilitate the task of administrators and industrials, which means you will go to interpret the gospel in the way it will be the best to protect your interest in that part of the world. For these things, you have to keep watch on disinteresting our savages from the richness that is plenty. To avoid that, they get interested in it and make you murderers. Competition and dream one day to overthrow you. Your knowledge of the gospel will allow you to find texts ordering and encouraging your followers to love poverty. Like happier are the poor because they will inherit heaven. And
Beatitudes.
but did you have to say the Beatitudes? Okay? It's very difficult for the rich to enter the kingdom of God. You have to detach them and from make them disgust everything which gives courage to affront us. I make reference to the mystic system and their war fetish, warfare protection, which they pretend not to want to abandon. And you must do everything in your power to make it disappear. Lastly, your action will be directed essentially to the younger ones, for they won't revolt when the recommendation of the priest is contradictory to their parents' teachings. The children have to learn to obey what the missionary recommends, Sunday school teaching. Right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So
Teach students to read and not to reason.
Teach students to read and not to reason.
Yes.
not to comprehend, but to cram.
To cram. There, dear patriots, are some of the principles that you must apply. You will find many other books which will be given to you at the end of this conference. Evangelize to the savages so that they stay forever in submission to white colonists. So they never revolt against the restraints they are undergoing. Oy.
Yes.
You see,
Convert always the blacks by using the whip.
By using
The whip. Keep their women in 9 months of submission to work freely for us. Force them to pay in sign of recognition, goats, chickens, eggs, everything. Make sure that the savages never become rich. This does not sound like a real letter.
That was a real letter. Just before you say this, let me crown it. That was a real letter by King Leopold to
Who
the
killed
missionaries
15
in
million
Congo.
Africans?
Of France.
It
Yes.
was a real letter. Belgium.
From Belgium.
It was a real letter.
From Belgium, yes.
Yes, you can verify. I don't just come up with facts. You can verify. It's all over the internet. It's there, just that our people do not read.
You know, when you want to hide anything, mostly from us, the Africans, you hide it in a book or in a written thing.
Because you know, the funny thing is that somebody was telling me that I don't know why each and every one of us is always just quoting white men. I mean, why is it that the quotes of white men sound sweeter? Have you realized?
Because we've been taught that obedience is more important than sacrifice and than exploring your cognitive processes.
But King Leopold also wrote it.
Yeah.
Teach the savages to forget their own heroes
Exactly.
and to adore only ours.
Even if you look at the film industry, we are looking at the pop culture. What's pop culture? It's Western. The clothes we are putting on today, it's Western. Okay?
So
we should be here with bare chests.
Before we get too angry and forget what we were talking about. You know, we can get very angry.
Okay.
One, from the letter, is that the gospel itself is not bad, but how you preach it is what matters. It is a gospel that is meant to make people love, live in harmony, but make it as a tool to make these people stagnant. Now, that also begs the question, why did the Muzungu come here? It was to exploit, extract, and dominate. How do you dominate people? You make them dependent. By taking away, extracting, and exploiting.
World Bank, IMF.
They are still here. The game just changed. Look here. The slaves, during this, at this time the letter was written, they used to work for free. But they used to eat, and they had a place to stay. Today, you work for money, but you have nothing to eat, and you have to pay for a place to stay. Are you still not a slave?
Ask Odhiambo.
You bought a home in Arabia. Last time I checked, we were both renting.
You are being paid, but you use the money to buy food and pay for a place to stay. Our forefathers who were slaves, they used to work for free. They didn't pay for food. They used to be given food.
Like feudalism.
Yes. So we are still slaves. And
there is a story that you are going to. And
yes,
I asked you about the ostracizing of the Luo community.
Now, when after independence, the harmony between the communities would still scuttle the interests of the colonialists. And look at the people who took over. They were like apologists. Majority of them, of the regime.
Kenyatta?
Kenyatta, if you went to prison, let me ask. We have a photo of Kenyatta in 1955 in a short-sleeved shirt and a tie in a room where there are vitambaa kwa meza. It was supposed to be a prison. Did we have a prison in 1955 with vitambaa kwa meza?
No.
That should have been a five-star hotel of that time. So when you tell me he fought Wazungu, the people who fought Wazungu were being beheaded alive. Koitalel Arap Samoei, we don't know where his head is. Dedan Kimathi, we don't know where he was buried. But Kenyatta went and was given a house in London. Were you really fighting a Muzungu? Can a Muzungu give a house to a person who is fighting them? You know, it needs only common sense. It is still written there, Kenyatta lived here. Even today, when you go to London, you can look for it. So these were apologies of the Mzungu. Now, the ideology of Kenyatta were very different from the ideologies of Jaramogi. We have been fighting these Wazungu. Why? They were dominating us by occupying our land. Now that they have gone, we need to take the land back to the people. Kenyatta is like, no. We have fought so much. Now I think it's time for us to say sorry to ourselves. There's a story that is usually given where Kenyatta and Jaramogi drove to somewhere in Naivasha. And when they alighted the vehicle, Kenyatta said, "Mndugu, tumepigana sana. Pande hii ni yangu. Wewe chukua pande ile." Jaramogi was like, "What are you saying? How different does that make us? If Muzungu was here and taking over all the land, and we have sent them away and we want to..."
I'm so itchy to ask this question, but I can't ask.
Just ask. Be bold.
If it was Raila that was with Kenyatta.
In fact, let me tell you. Let me tell you, Jagoro. It's gone on nicely. There's a part which we have fundamentally left out.
Okay.
Which is important that we bring.
Fill us in, Mr. Odhiambo.
Let's fill it in.
Yeah.
So, what was the issue? Because Kenya was on an issue journey. Because you remember, all of us in this country are settlers. There's no indigenous Kenyan here.
Yeah.
The indigenous Kenyans are actually Khoisans, who are right now going down towards South Africa, out there in South Africa. Khoisans. Khoisan, the ones who speak with a click sound.
Oh, yeah.
They're the ones they're the owners of Kenya, if you look at history. Now, all of us who then were settlers here, who came through Shungwaya, who came through Nile, wherever you came from, you know.
River Lake Nile out.
Yeah, you're already here. Kushites who came through Mandera, whatever. All of us are now here. The issue then was that immediately the colonialists, then, that is the evangelists, then set the ground and accepted or then relayed the information back home that, hey, it is ready for occupation when Kenya was being declared a protectorate in 1901. Okay? We had now Imperial British East African Company. Okay? Coming in as contractors to administer the protectorate of the Queen.
It had not become a protectorate first. Yes. They came in as a company.
Yes.
To take the resources.
Yes.
The first entrance of the British was not by British government.
Yes.
It was through a company that he has mentioned.
Yes.
Imperial British East African Company.
Yeah.
It actually occupied this place in 1895. It was
was it a parastatal? Because
yes.
It was like
it was a parastatal.
Let me ask.
Okay.
Why would a Briton risk his life building railway from Mombasa to
Uganda?
To preach the gospel?
No.
Why?
So it was not meant to carry human beings.
Was it a parastatal? Because the East African Company belonged to who? Who are the investors? What was the board? Was it the Queen? Was it the Queen?
Imperial British East African Company. A British company meant to extract resources from Africans.
But
you have preached to them that...
But you're not asking my question.
Yes.
Okay, let me help you. Let me help you. When you go back, because you have to go back and understand, why does the British now start establishing companies to extract?
Okay.
We were in the religious form of governance before, where the world was centered either in Rome or in Turkey, under Constantine, Alexandria, whoever, who even established something in Alexandria, city in Egypt. Now, when we were moving from religious form of government, to secularism, now we had the Ottoman Empire, if you remember. Then now later, we had the British Empire, which was now establishing its colonies.
Which, as I understand, was sort of England, Britain.
So there was, Britain, United Kingdom has a number of countries within it. There's Northern Ireland, which is part of it. There's England, and then I think there is the Welsh.
The Wales?
Yes.
Wales.
I think Wales is a country or something. They fall under the United Kingdom.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, these people wanted to expand their influence beyond. Because remember, back then, democracies were very few. It was just monarchies and absolute monarchies, because we were operating under feudalism.
Did we even have any democracy at that
Yes,
time?
we had democracy in America. Because democracy in America in about 1740 something.
Yeah.
So there was a democracy.
Yes.
Now, this British monarchy, which was then headed by a king, because the queen came later.
Yes.
Then decided to expand outside, because they wanted resources to sustain the imperial crown.
And they are expanding through this company.
They're expanding
Yes.
through companies.
Which are basically parastatals because they are owned by the
Yes.
government.
They
They're
were
owned by the crown.
parastatals.
They're not even owned by the government. They're owned by the state. Remember, there's a difference between the state and the government. Those two are different in Britain.
Yeah.
The same as Kenya. Just in Kenya, it is a mongrel where the state and the government is one. But in Britain, the state and the government are two different entities. The government is headed by a prime minister, and the state is headed by the king or the queen. So this Imperial British East African Company was a creation of the king that then had to come and exploit resources and take back to Britain to sustain
Yes.
their population and their influence. Now, once that was done, they came and did something which was very bad. And that is declaring that the land of Kenya, the territory of Kenya, in fact, the territory of East Africa, including parts of Tanzania, were crown land. Land that is far away from United Kingdom is being declared to be crown land, which means for you to get a piece of land, you have to acquire an authority
From the British
from
government.
the British.
Having taken it by force.
Yes.
Not by force, just a declaration that now
But that is
all
false.
land
Yes.
is about, it belongs
Look
to
at-
the king.
Look at the scramble and partitioning of Africa. The French
Yeah.
will take the other side, the Germans will take there, the British we are here. So, as he was explaining about the Imperial British East African Company, and I think Kenya need to understand the history to know where are we. We are basing on nothing. Nothing. Tunapiga kelele, tuweni mjaluo, hiyo ni ujinga.
Exactly
The
my
issue
point.
is,
Are you going to take us back to where you were, where Odhiambo cut you from?
yes,
So, yes,
that's
yes.
where we are.
We have to get the context.
Yes.
Imperial British East African Company, in its operations, it met the Buganda Kingdom.
Yes.
It was violently fought, and it was punctured. The first debt this country took was that time, 250 euros at that time, to come and finance its operations. It was not able. Now, the government itself now had to come in by declaring Kenya a British protectorate. Now the government fully comes, the company has failed, the government fully comes, but to extend the actions which the company was doing. It is the same, extraction, domination, and exploiting. Now, how do you divide? How do you dominate? How do you make sure that you are extracting? You make the owners of what you are extracting divided.
Yeah. Carrot and stick strategy.
Yes. Now, the problem, that because you want to know where Kikuyus and Luos had a problem,
That is the cherry.
it did not begin as a serious issue. It was a heated argument between Odinga and Kenyatta. Kenyatta did not go to school so much. And you know, people who have not gone to school so much, they have profane language. Mimi tunaweza
Ukisikia mtu anatusiana sana.
hey,
Shule kidogo. Alipitia ndani ya shule. Hakuenda
Alitoka
shule.
kwa
Nimesikia wajamaa wa kitusi wa Munyoro. The one with the fine language.
ukiangalia comment uone mtu ametumia particular very vitriol words.
Yeah.
Question their education. Something is wrong with how they attended class. So because Kenyatta, we don't really know where he went to school.
You know, he
Do
never-
we?
he never went to
We
school.
don't.
He
We
was a
don't really
meter
know.
operator. Alikuwa mtu ya kukatia watu maji.
Mita, mtu ya kukata maji mita. Labda alienda, I will look at the history.
Technical college.
Yes.
Some people leading
So,
are just
in that heated argument,
In Naivasha.
it was at State House.
Okay.
Now they have come back from Naivasha. The issue is land. Why do you want to take land and we fought for land?
Yeah, your people-
We have people who
Yeah.
do not have land.
your own people are crying.
And you are telling them, willing buyer, willing seller. How are people who have been slaves in their own land going to buy land? They have been working for free. So when you come with willing buyer, willing seller, where are they going to get money to buy the land?
Okay, I want some explanation.
Yes.
If you will.
Yes.
What is the context of willing buyer, willing seller?
The issue of land. Kenyatta wants, if people want land, they should buy it.
I am assuming.
Wait.
Yes.
There's a context here that we are missing.
Yes.
Now, after this government came in and
Okay.
declared Kenya crown land.
Yes.
Which means for you to get land, you had to get authority from the crown.
Yes.
Which means there's a governor in Kenya who then will authorize
Yes.
you getting particular pieces of land. And they did declare a very large piece of land in Kenya, right from Indian Ocean to Malaba, to be belonging to Kenya Railway. And they dictated some places. These ones are reserves, reserves for the government. The government will do whatever it wants to do with it at whatever time.
Reserve,
Okay.
ndio maana katokea jina reserve,
Yes.
ushago. Yani,
So exactly,
Reserve.
very good. This guy is very brilliant. I like him.
Yes.
So in this context of land, Kikuyus were denied their lands because how do you tell me to reapply for land where
land
I was
that you
born? This is my land. You're telling me to reapply.
And
then you are
there is
relocating
someone-
this land to somebody.
there is someone, I'm
Yeah.
forgetting, who suggested that we go, take a loan,
Yes.
come and give people money so that they can buy.
Yes. Land.
From Barclays Bank.
Barclays Bank.
Yes.
Look,
Look here.
Bretton Woods.
This land
Institutions.
originally belongs to,
To the people.
To the people.
The indigenous people.
in this case, the majority of land that was taken by the British was for Kikuyus.
Exactly. Now, once you understand that context, that land was taken from the Kikuyus and largely the whole Kenya.
Yes.
Okay? Being that the land was there in mass, so it was not quite an issue. But for the Kikuyus, it was a very serious issue.
Yes.
Because they were farming. These people had taught them that you could do cash crops. Okay? But now you want to even enslave me on my own land. You can kill me. You can snatch. You can just
No, I
wait.
want
a
to-
bit.
For the sake of my audience,
Yes.
I think there is Odhiambo. I thought Odhiambo was going to explain this,
yeah.
but he's not.
I'm
So
explaining for
so
you
I
again. Allow me to
want
land.
to ask.
I want to allow me to land.
Yes.
Okay, land.
allow
He's
me
not
land.
landed yet. Okay, land.
You
Land.
know, I agree. I'm quite verbose.
Yes.
But forgive me.
Okay.
Because I'm a teacher.
Land very fast.
Now, let me land.
Be precise.
Let me be precise. So these people, Kenyatta coming to government, or
Yeah.
Kenyatta being the prime minister, was in its first instance a very fraudulent position that came to be because the person who the British wanted to be the president was Jaramogi. They went to him and told him, hey, you guy, you know what? We are like losing this, yeah? Get up and let us wash you up and you become the president. And Jaramogi refused and he said, the struggle was for all of us and there is no freedom without Kenyatta. Kenyatta ako tu hapa Kapenguri, hapa Lodwa. Unaweza mleta, atakuwa rais wetu. Is
In terms
our
of
leader.
seniority.
Yes. Now, when Kenyatta was given the chance to be the leader of Kenya, what did Kenyatta do? Kenyatta is a fraud, just like his son. These people are fraudulent in that family. He came in, and instead of staying in the spirit, he became a sellout. President Kenyatta became a sellout. Do you know where he used to live? Uhuru Garden. Uhuru Garden, where people go to party. Kenyatta's house is there. And he left.
It is not written. This is where Kenyatta
It
lives.
is. Go there today. It's
Okay,
okay, yeah,
okay,
it is
okay.
there. So this Kenyatta guy was a fraud and he started stealing by saying, now you have to buy land. He's allocating himself land. If Nani
And he used to
there's a
say it
minister of
very
this.
openly.
Yeah.
And this guy has landed and he has not answered my question.
Yes.
I've
So
landed.
yeah. So let me ask.
Yes.
So so that I see if I am correct, so that the people of the internet can also get this,
Understand.
understand this.
Yes.
So the crown owned the Kenyan land.
Yes.
In 1963,
Yes.
they are going away.
Yes.
And they are saying, okay, here is your land. Please take it back. It is handed over to Kenyatta and Co.
Yes.
The assumption in my head is now that your land is back.
Yes.
There is a guy called Mburu who had 2 acres that was taken by the Mau Mau, by the British Protectorate.
Yes.
In a sense, because this land is back, now Mburu should be someone to come and take his land back.
Yes.
At what point Kenyatta is saying, now Mburu has to buy the land back. And if you don't buy, my friend Kamau has money, he's going to buy your land.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes. You know, when you say willing buyer, willing seller,
Yeah.
you are only saying that people with the means are the only ones that are going to get land. And the squatters from these communities, where they had lost their land to the British, are continuing to be squatters. So we are not actually solving the issue of land. We are entrenching what the Muzungu has been doing. You understand? And that was the departure between Kenyatta and Jaramogi. And in that heated the moment, in that meeting we had Njoroge Mongai, We had Kihika Kimani.
The Naivasha guy.
Yes.
Yeah, the father of Nakuru governor.
Yes,
Susan
and
Kihika.
we had someone else. I don't know if Gigi Kariuki was there. Kenyatta called Jaramogi Kehe.
The uncircumcised one.
Yes. And the Njoroge Mungais heard that. The next rally, that is the word they used. Not just on Kenyatta, or not just on Jaramogi, but to a whole now community of Luos. That this Kehe wants to control us. That's now where the problem began. The real issue between Kikuyus and Luos was in 1966. Now, after that rift emerged, now Jaramogi had to be sidelined out of government. Who gives the idea of sidelining Kenyatta? The very brilliant young man in government at that time,
Mboya.
Thomas Joseph Odhiambo Mboya.
You know, it is only that guy, that verbose guy that calls people by their entire name.
Yeah.
What is his name?
Thomas Joseph Odhiambo Mboya. The guy knew his weaknesses, but he knew how to deal with his weaknesses. The guy knew he's a Form 2 dropout. A Form 2.
Tomboya.
Yes. But he has a gift of understanding things and speaking. Where did he used to eat lunch? University of Nairobi. Every day.
But then was a campus of Makerere University.
Yes. He could go to the University of Nairobi and sit with it was an incubation of brains, very sharp people. So he could go there and buy lunch, and he could just listen to how they speak. When he comes back to parliament, watu wanasema Tom Mboya ni monoma. Ametoa akili UN.
Akili ya kuombwa kwa mkono ya watu.
He was a very cheeky guy.
Yeah, no brilliance, just
Yeah.
So, but he was very calculative and innovative in ideas. So, Jaramogi analeta Kenyatta mbio. So, Tomboya tells Kenyatta that for us to deal with Jaramogi, the only thing that is giving him power is the vice presidency. And because we cannot fire him, let us cut his power to size. Let us choose 7 vice presidents.
What Uhuru did to Ruto?
Yes.
We cannot fire him.
Yeah.
let us cut him to size.
It is never, it's
the
nothing
script is
new.
the same. The script is the same.
So what we do, we are not going, we fire him or we appoint other vice presidents. We will call them Kanu chairmen.
8 vice chairmen.
That is the first Limuru conference. When
Limuru
Jaramogi, they appointed vice chairman, Nyanza, Western, Nairobi. Tomboya was given 2 roles, Nairobi and Nyanza. The job Jaramogi used to do was done. What did he do? He resigned by saying what? I cannot be just coming to office and read newspapers. Now, Kenya has taken a drastically different path from issues to community hatred and animosity. Now, the profiling has happened. Kikuyus have been told you are the ones who are supposed to be in power, not any other person. Luos have been told you have been played. You understand? Now, there is an oathing that happens
in 1969.
Yes, after Tomboya dies. Now, before that, let us not jump so that people understand.
Very important.
Let us not jump.
Yes.
Very important.
After Jaramogi resigns, before he resigned, the reason why he resigned, because his only strategist, the person who could help Jaramogi come up with political maneuvering tactics, was Pio Gamapinto.
Yeah.
What had happened? It was his first assassination. The first political assassination we had in the country was Pio Gamapinto. To make Jaramogi blind, deaf, and mute. Because they had studied his team and said, kwa hii team ya Jaramogi, tukimaliza huyu.
Tumaliza mzee.
Jaramogi anawachana na hii mambo. And that's why he resigned. The person helping government to deal with the Jaramogi is Mboya. They are using his brain. So 1969, Mboya is also crafting how to become president.
Yeah.
Anataka all this confusion ya Wajaluo na Wakikuyu yapite katika. Ni mjanja kabisa.
Chuka, do you agree with this in history ya Jaba?
I do agree with it.
Now, Mboya knows Kenyatta is growing old. And Jaramogi has been...
He died 10 years later, 9 years later.
Yes. Jaramogi has been fired. And there is this very proud Attorney General here, Charles Njonjo, who loves good English. And Mboya had very good English. No, he now goes to Charles Njonjo and convinces him that we want to make a new law. That in case of the death of the president, the person to take over is the Secretary General of the ruling party.
Who is the Secretary General?
Who is the Secretary General?
Mboya.
Mboya. So who wants to be president?
Mboya.
Unaona akili? Unajua, ukiwa mwerevu peke yako na watu wengine ni wajinga, it's very dangerous.
Very.
Because they know they cannot compete with the logic. Yours is always superior.
Yeah.
How do they deal with you? To silence you completely. So after, there is an instance, I don't know if this is true, Jaramogi went to Tom and told him, ndugu yangu, when they are done with me, you are next. So please, we are brothers, usiende your direction. But kuna hii kapride ya kusema, I am the person who should take over. After now dealing with Jaramogi, now the only problem they are left with is Tom. Tom was shot on a Saturday afternoon.
Tom went to Ethiopia. There was an OAU meeting
yes.
in Ethiopia. And Tom, I think, had presented something very beautiful. And the people who were around the president, who had gotten the word that Tom was actually planning this takeover you're talking about,
yes,
then were very aware that the next person to deal with was Tom. And they hired, was it called Mboya or who?
No.
What was his name? The gentleman who shot Mboya.
Was it?
Jenga.
Yes. And immediately Mboya landed Jagero. He landed and went straight to the street where he was shot. I think it's the place where it's called a chemist.
Yes, there was Nairobi chemist.
Nairobi chemist.
Yes.
And as he was taking the drug, I think he had not even reached home.
Listen.
Yeah.
Once he bought
the drug,
he had parked his Mercedes across the road. So he was crossing the road back to his vehicle to go back home. Across the road, that was where he was shot 3 times in the chest. And the calculation is very well. The person to kill Mboya should be a Kikuyu.
Yes.
To further widen the rift. After that, the oathing is taken, and Kikuyus were forced to take oath.
An oath, yeah. They were forced.
If you are not agreeable to the idea of taking an oath, unawawa. So we cannot blame it that Kikuyus willingly went and take an oath and say Luos should never take power.
They were compelled into
it was engineered by very greedy people among that community that wanted to safeguard power to themselves.
There was an oath that the Luos should not take power.
Yes.
Not even
Luos.
It was not to cross River Chania.
Yeah.
To Nyeri.
Kibaki was not even supposed to become president.
You know River Chania?
Haifai kupita huko.
Chania River.
Yes.
Unaelewa? It was not just Kikuyus or Luos.
Even among the Kikuyus, there was
even among the Kikuyus, we had the Kiambu clique. They wanted to just remain it there. Even the Kirinyaga ifai kutoa president.
Kirinyaga, Nyeri, no.
Nyeri hizo huko ni wapi?
Meru, no.
Ni hapa. Sisi ndo tunafaa kutoa president. And people were massacred for it. Mm-hmm. Even Kikuyus were killed for not agreeing to take an oath. And blood was spilled. Now, we have a complete animosity between these two communities that are very prominent on the political scene. So other communities align according to how these have split. Mm-hmm. You don't have to divide the whole country. Just divide Kikuyus and Luos. The whole country is divided. Mm-hmm. Luyas will side with either Kikuyus. Luyas never take a whole direction. Wezi sema sasa Waluya wako huku, hakuna. Waluya wanakuanga kwote.
Yeah, they're not homogeneous in language.
Wakamba unaweza waweka mahali moja useme they are here. But Luyas utapata Secretary General ODM ni Mluya. Secretary General Jubilee ni Mluya. Hakuna mahali hawakuangi. So, for you to divide the country, yes. For you to divide the country, just make sure that these two communities have a problem. And the whole issues of the country should be silent and swept under the carpet and talk about how these communities can never work together.
Yeah.
And politicians have cultivated that culture, even today, that anything else can happen, but Kikuyus and Luos, there is no instance they should work together.
And so that is why people are saying that when a Luo is brought into government, Kikuyus leave.
Yeah, that is
another narrative.
The narrative they sell. And the politicians who took over were successful in one thing, hammering hatred into Kikuyus against Luos.
The siege mentality.
And the leaders in Luoland hammered hatred against Kikuyus.
In fact, it is affecting even the marriage.
Can you tell me about the siege mentality? Because there is a concept is reducing there called siege mentality.
Siege mentality is a very huge strategy that is used by politicians across the world. It's not only in Kenya. If you look at world over, whenever an election is nearing, most of the big countries, the presidents will always start wars or will always identify objects of aggression in other communities or in other countries. Like, for example, whenever the Republicans are in power, just before they face an election, they always introduce a war, either in Vietnam, Afghanistan, where there's always war somewhere. But whenever Democrats are in power, they always go for regime change. Okay? So whenever Republicans refuse to go to war, they lose those elections in term one. That happens also in Kenya. In that, Luos are now being told by one Raila Odinga that we are having a war with Kikuyus. Kikuyus are the enemy. So Luos block their faculties of reasoning on what are their issues and focus on the spectacle that is the war.
That there is an enemy somewhere.
Okay? So they are sieged, they're besieged, that there's some war going on.
Yes,
Kikuyus are constantly under a tight bottle.
Yes.
That there is under some pressure in a bottle. Yes. That there's some Luos who, when they get to power, they will snatch everything we have taken.
They will not even be paying rent.
Yes.
You see?
That was at Kojolea. You remember in 2017 or 2012?
They will not pay rent.
Yes. Yeah. And you know Kikuyus are the ones who own houses in Nairobi majorly. Lately Kisses and Luos are doing well.
Yeah. But here we ishi kwa nyumba ya Mkikuyu.
Kwa
nyumba ya Mjaluo siwezi ishi.
No, that's tribalism.
Hapana, ukweli. Ukweli kabisa. Nikijua landlord ni Mjaluo na ama.
Kwa nini?
Those people wezi chelewa na nimewahi ishi kwa nyumba ya Mjaluo.
Look at this guy.
No, huyo tu ni mbaya.
No, that's
huyo ni mbaya. You are still young, you've not seen many Luos.
Yeah, Luos are good people, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I own a few houses, I can give you one. So anyway, the Kikuyus are also bottled into this thinking that if Luos ever get to power, then they will finish us. And I was saying, remember in 2012, 2013, when Raila was campaigning to be president, he once had to clarify this joke that was going around in Kibera and all over, that Wajaluo wakipata uongozi watatukojolea sisi. And he said, no, it's not true. Hata tukojolea nyinyi. Ati Mjaluo akipita atakuwa anakuambia simama kwanza serikali inapita.
Inakojewa.
Yeah, it's nuances that are that little that are coming to
it creates a lot of panic and paranoia.
So this siege mentality is a very strong strategy that politicians use, and whenever you see in the second last year to election Raila not introducing a siege mentality, he's not contesting. Whenever you see second year towards election, he's introducing a siege mentality question, then he's contesting.
Look,
That's a discussion
for us to know that you cannot entirely hate a community.
Yeah.
We have people even in the Kikuyu community who made efforts to create a Kikuyu-Luo alliance and say, hey, why are we fighting? What is the issue here?
Yeah, yeah.
We are not even supposed to fight. And one of those persons I remember, G.O.K. All these are usually scuttled by people who want to benefit from such kind of arrangements. That Kikuyus must remain with a hatred towards Luos, and Luos must remain with a hatred towards Kikuyus, and the whole country shall share from these two pots. We have tribes that will identify with Kikuyus and agree that, hey, look here, Luos are not good people. We have those ones that will agree with the Luos and say, hey, it's Kikuyus who are bad. So with that, you can actually divide them and rule them. And we have instances that have entrenched this kind of hatred. And this hatred became bigger. The only Kikuyu person who attended Mboya's burial was J.M. Ungeonekana hapo na wewe ni Mkikuyu ndugu yangu. Mawe moja ya kichwa yao. The only Kikuyu who attended ni J.M. He was the only person who was given a chance to speak in that funeral. Luos looked at him as a Kenyan who was not having the Kikuyu behavior.
Was that the beginning or the end of J.M. Kariuki?
That was the beginning of his end.
Yes. In fact, at the time J.M. asked Kenyatta about all this eating. And he told, Kenyatta told J.M., wewe nimekupatia wizara, mbona wewe ukuli? Everybody's eating. Why are you not eating?
You know, Kenyatta never used to hide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was a very brutal.
Wewe kama hutaki mimi nachukua.
Yeah.
Na anachukua. Asije ati anajifanya ati mimi sichukui. He tells you.
And you're right. People who are very lowly educated have very crass language.
Yeah, very crass language.
Yes.
True.
So he tells
Kumanina zako ni Kenyatta.
Yeah, you remember you're talking about that.
Ningekusiaga siaga. Look at how he talked to Jaramogi
at
siku ya Russia hospital. The Russia hospital incident. Look at this. Mboya has just died.
Yeah.
It's less than 3 months.
The community is still wounded.
The community is still wounded and the tension are still high. Then someone advises the president to go and open a hospital in Kondele.
In Kondele.
A hospital that was
a hospital that had also raised political tensions.
Because the hospital was also constructed with
by
money
Russia.
that was obtained from the Russians. And Kenyatta was all along suspecting Jaramogi for colluding with the Russians to throw
communism.
him out of power.
Yes. So look at
Who invited him to go and open this hospital, by the way?
the people in
There was a
government.
political
Yeah, people in
advisor.
government, of course, because it's the order.
The people in government, people close to Kenyatta. And that's why I don't like the Njoroge Mungais and the Kihika Kimanis. Those are the people who messed this country up.
True. Very true.
Even Jonjo was not a good person. Ilibidi Raila aenda amlecture kidogo. There is a time, you know, this tribal vitriol. He said he cannot shake the hand of a Luo. He will get cholera.
Interestingly, they lived side by side
Yes.
with Kibaki, and he never said hi to Kibaki till he died. Both of them,
Yes.
actually. In Mudaiga here.
Yes.
Neighbors.
And you know, Wazungus know how do you behave. For them to engineer that division,
Political configuration.
you behave like them.
Yeah.
You don't fly in a plane that is flown by a black pilot. So for you to
You hate
you hate your own people.
until he called himself Duke of
no.
Kabete Shire.
He was called Sir.
Yeah, Sir Charles Njonjo.
Yes.
Who gave him the name Shah?
You
The,
know,
the protectorate.
For you to get the name Sir was a title.
Yes.
That you are knighted before you.
Yeah, you are enlightened. So they make you believe you are actually a Muzungu. Hii kala unaona sio wewe. Wewe ni Muzungu.
No, that is why he was getting his suits from London.
Yes.
And married a white woman.
Yes. He didn't want
you're too
anything
much
to do
now.
with black.
Huh?
You're too much.
Yes,
Yeah, but
he was
that's-
said he was a black man.
marrying a white woman has no issue with it.
He was a But his reason of marrying a white woman was not the one you're thinking.
I don't think Joakim, in all fairness, I don't think if we know why he married a white woman.
No. Huyu anajifanya sasa eti anafikiria sana. No. Look at Jonjo.
Because if you are buying your suits in London, and you are not shaking hands of us fellow Africans, utapata kolera.
Raila mutafute wapige picha na Raila wakikula samaki kwa kibanda. Ndio Wajaluo wajue.
Nilikuwa nawaambia
hii maneno imeisha. Wamesalimiana na Raila na wamekula samaki na mikono. That is how the tensions were done. It has always been about Luos and Kikuyus. Look at 1990. We have a foreign affairs minister who is very eloquent.
Robert
Ouko. They go with Moi in the US. And because of the Kalenjin accent, Moi was not as coherent. He was...
it's called,
he had a deep Kalenjin accent.
It's called the dialect.
Not
the accent.
No.
The Kalenjin dialect.
In this case, Moi struggled.
Mbona huyu jamaa anafikiria sana?
Moi struggled to answer questions. He struggled.
Yeah.
And we also have
he struggled to answer questions, or he was not. His answers were not.
Yes.
This is purely a story, though. It's purely a story.
But look at this. We are trying to understand.
Where this came from, of course.
Is Ouko dying?
Yes.
They have been to the US. In that meeting, we had Nicholas Biwott. We had Ouko. And we have the president and other people. In the American hierarchy of power, a foreign affairs minister there is called Secretary of State.
That's the second most
That's a very big person. So the recognition they gave to Ouko was presidential. And because these people are prickly, there is a story that says after that meeting, Biwott intentionally went and shook the hand of Ouko and said, "Hello, Your Excellency," intentionally in front of Moi, to create an insinuation that Ouko wants to take over power from Moi. The same story about Tom is repeating itself with Ouko. So the death of Ouko also created a problem.
Let me bring a counter narrative to this.
Yes.
Because this was actually a narrative.
Yes.
That was told to us by people who, There's also the other narrative, Joakim, that people are fearing to speak about, but which we must not fear to speak about.
Yes.
And the narrative is that Ouko was suspected to be having an affair with the wife of a very powerful PS at that time.
Ezekiel Yugi.
I don't know if that is him.
Ezekiel Yugi.
But who was the most powerful PS at the time?
I said a very powerful. I didn't say the most.
No. It was only one powerful PS.
It was one powerful. Okay, if that is him, then that is...
Why are you afraid that they are all dead?
No, I'm not afraid. I'm just saying.
Why is he afraid that they are all dead?
Children, he knows them.
So there was that allegation.
Okay.
That Ouko had an affair with the wife of this powerful PS, who then timed that whenever he was going to come back, they were going to deal with him. And that was the beginning of the end of also that PS. Because after Ouko's murder, this PS never ever again came back to life as he was before. He was actually even jailed by Moi.
Actually, he's the one who set up Ouko.
So for me, I always want to go with this theory of this guy having had an affair, as brilliant as he was, having had an affair with the wife of this PS.
Matters of love has nothing to do with the brain. It's all about the heart.
It overrides the brain, you know. Yeah.
So, and also, this story goes on and says, after, Moi left Ouko. And Ouko was given a presidential suite to live in, to sleep in. And Moi left Ouko in the US. He had to be flown into the country by an American plane. And at the airport, American plane was faster than ours. Moi land, Ouko landed immediately. And Biwott goes and tells Ouko, usiende kwa mzee, amekasirika. We enda nyumbani, we deal with this issue. Alafu anaenda kwa Moi anamwambia, look here. So nono huko hataki kuja. What is he hiding? Huyu mtu anataka kukongoa kwa power. You see the rift. Moi is very innocent. But there is this kamutu hapa katikati.
So we now don't have Kika Kimani, we don't have Mungai, but now we have the what?
Yes.
The new
But the
political
Kika Kimanis were still there.
But they were out.
Yes. The JJ Kamodo.
But they were not in the kitchen cabinet anymore.
Remember, when President Kenyatta died, there was an opposition towards President Moi.
Yes.
And there was an attempted coup in 1979, or thereabout, I'm not certain of the exact date, where Njonjo and his team wanted to make sure that this passing cloud was not going to sit around for long. And they wanted him out. Now, that Kikuyu clique, especially the Kiambu clique, that was around Kenyatta, was not advocating for Moi. So Moi had to have a new team of court jesters, which now included
JJ
Kariuki and Kamodo.
JJ Kamodo and all that. So, everything that was going on was about the division on tribes. Na hii kitu imeendelea ikakufa kidogo 202 when Baba said Kibaki tosha. And there was a slight fresh breath between the two tribes. But then again, it emerged when we had in the newspapers that Materi Keriri, who was now State House controller after Moi Kibaki had taken over, chased Oburu Odinga out of State House.
Thank you very much, people of the internet.
It was Hakuna Deni. Hakuna Deni hapa.
We have to end it on Oburu Odinga taking over from State House. Thank you very much, people of the internet. This is Political Ethic. I was in the studio with Joakim Simiyu. I don't know who he is. We have
the people's president in the
the people's president. Yes, I was forgetting the people's president. Yes. We have Omonde Chuka, the teacher, the man with the experience, and we have Odhiambo, communication specialist, and it told me that the other day he told me that he's an orator too.
An orator.
He's an orator.
You don't tell people that you are an orator.
Communication specialist.
I didn't tell him. He's now apportioning it to me, and I welcome it.
There is a statement that says, a tiger does not pronounce of its tigritude.
Correct.
So
tigritude.
Yes.
There are some who do.
Tigers. Yeah. When it's like
I have a feeling that there are people who are good at things and they say they are good at them.
Yeah. But what impression does that create?
Yeah, it creates. I agree with you, Joakim. I'm in agreement with you.
Where's ukienda kwako anze kuambia watu, this is my home. Yeah. What does that say about you?
You've lost it.
Yes.
Correct. Thank you very much, and until another episode. Bye for now.